us to graph the sine or cosine functions here, and to do so, we're going to need to kind of list out some information to start. I always like to start with the k value that tells us the midline of our function, and the a value which tells us our amplitude, meaning from the midline, if we go up 4 units, that'll be our maximum. If we go down 4 units, that will be our minimum. And so it kind of helps me create the graph when I'm going through this. And so because I can kind of create it however I want here, I'm going to go ahead and make it like about this, because I know my midline here is at -2, the maximum is at +2, and the minimum is at -6. And so when I kind of create my graph here, I know that my sine or cosine function is just going to bounce back and forth in between those red dashed lines here. We're only asked to graph one period, so we'll do that, but it really goes on forever if we were to graph the whole thing. So after that, I'm going to use the b value to tell me what my period is, or how long we go until it starts to repeat. So if I multiply by the reciprocal here, my period is 8 pi. Two more things to talk about. First of all, I have a negative sine function, which means that I'm going to start at the midline, but I'm going to start by going down and then back up, because that's the general shape of a negative sine function. And lastly, we have an h value of pi, which means that's where we're going to start our graph. So again, we're starting here. It's a negative sine function, so I go down first. Let me draw that a little bit better. And so that's one period, or one cycle. And technically, again, it continues on forever, but I'm only asked to draw one. And to find these x values now is where I have to kind of use this period here, which is 8 pi. And so I know that the distance from where we start until where we end is 8 pi units. So that means that this ending point here is going to be at 9 pi. And then each of the main key points here, anytime it hits the midline, maximum, or minimum, those are all equal distances apart. So I know that this right here has to be halfway between pi and 9 pi, or 4 pi units away from each of them. So that would be 5 pi here. Then I know that this point right here has to be halfway between pi and 5 pi, or 2 pi units between each of them, which tells me that's 3 pi. This one also is 2 pi units away from either of those, and so my x values here for each of these points are pi, 3 pi, 5 pi, 7 pi, and 9 pi. And that's one period, or one cycle, of this negative sine function.